So let us discuss about how to create multi-level hierarchy with respect to example. So consider the following program. In this program, I have written a class called A. Inside this class called A, I have an instance variable called I, and then I have written a constructor. Using this constructor, I am trying to initialize the value for the instance variable called I, right? So next I have written a class called B, which is trying to inherit a class called A, right? So since my class B is trying to inherit the class called A, my class B is going to inherit the instance variable called I, right? So right now, my class B will be having two instance variable. One is instance variable I, which it has inherited from class called A. Then it has its own instance variable called J. Next, using the constructor, I'm trying to initialize the value for both instance variable I and J. So in order to initialize the value for instance variable I, I'm going to call a superclass constructor which is taking single argument. So with respect to my class B, A is my superclass. So inside my superclass, I'm having a superclass constructor which is taking single argument, and the superclass constructor is trying to initialize the value for I. All right. So that's what this statement does. Next, I have written. Next, I'm trying to initialize value for instance variable called J. Right. So in this program, my class B is the subclass and my class A is superclass. Now let me ask a question whether my subclass can become a superclass of another class. I repeat, whether a subclass can become a superclass of another class. Yes, it can become. So how it can become? So let me do. So consider a class called C, which is trying to extend a class called B. So now here, since class C is trying to extend a class called B, here class B will become the superclass and class C will become the subclass, right? So now with respect to this program, my class B is a subclass with respect to class called A. Similarly here, my class B will become superclass with respect to class called C, right? Now, when class C is trying to extend a class called B, or when class C is trying to inherit the class called B, so what members this class C is trying to inherit? Can you think? Class C is going to inherit the members of class A and is going to inherit the members of class B also. You see that here, since my class B is trying to inherit class called A, is going to inherit the members of a class A. In other words, my class B is having the members of class A and its own member called J. So when class C is trying to inherit class B, is going to inherit the members of class A and the members of class B, right? So that's why when you write a constructor inside the class C, we need to initialize the values for both I and J. That is, so let me take arguments. And before that, inside class C also, let me take one new instance variable called int C, right? So inside this class C, let me pass two instance variable in A, in B, in C. Let me change to C to K, right? So now what I should do, I need to initialize the value for I equal to A, right? J equal to B, K equal to C. You got it? Yes? So how I got this I and J? This I and j I have inherited from class called B. And what is this k? K is nothing but it is instance variable which belongs to class called C, right? Now instead of writing I equal to A, J equal to B, what I can do, I can call a superclass constructor which is present in the class called B. You see that in my class called B, I have a constructor which is taking two arguments. What this constructor is trying to do, this constructor is trying to initialize the value for I and the value for J. So instead of writing I equal to A and J equal to B, I can write super A comma B, right? So once I write super A comma B, what's going to happen? The control immediately jumps to the superclass constructor which is taking two arguments. So with respect to class C, B is a superclass. So inside my superclass called B, I have a constructor which is taking two arguments, right? Yeah. So let me write a show method and let us try to print the values of I, J, and then K, right? So the show method will be trying to print the value of I, J, and then K. Plus J plus K, right? So now, in order to run the program, let me create an object of a class called C, right? So this I'm going to store in a variable called OB. The type of OB is C. Now, right? So once I create an object of a class called, so once I create an object of a class called C, the control immediately jumps to the constructor. But inside my class C, I have a constructor which is taking how many arguments? It's taking 3 arguments. So I need to pass values for the all these 3 arguments. That is 10, 20, 30, right? Now using this object, let me call the method called show. So if you run the program runs. No, the program does not run. In order to run the program, I need to have a main method. So let me include the main method. Public static void main string args, right? So this main method I need to place inside a class, right? So let me place inside a class called demo. Right. Yeah. So I've done, right? So let us check. So if I run the program, the output I should get, the value is called 10, 10, 20, and then 30, right? Because I'm calling show method with respect to object of a class called C, right? So let me run this program. So into prefix with from. Yes, you see that I got the value 10, 20, and then 30. So that's what you are expecting. So this is an example of multi-level inheritance. So why we call this a multi-level inheritance? You see that at level 1, I written a class called A. At level 2, I written a class called B, which is trying to extend the class called A, right? At level 3, I have written a class called C, which is trying to extend a class called B, right? So we call this as multi-level inheritance. Now, the most important thing we should know, Java does not support multiple inheritance. So what do you mean by multiple inheritance? So you see that here my class B is trying to extend only one class at a time. Here also you see that the class C is trying to extend only one class at a time. When I say multiple inheritance, for example, let us call D, right? Now, my class B, right now it is extending only one class called A. It can extend only one class, but it can't extend more than one class. So here you see that I'm trying to extend two classes. That is, my class B is trying to extend two classes, that is class A and class D. We call this as multiple inheritance. But Java does not support this multiple inheritance. This multiple inheritance is possible in C++, but in Java, multiple inheritance is not supported. If you write the program like this, it throws an error, right? So let us run and check. You see that? It's throwing an error here. You see that? It's throwing error, right? Yes, because the Java does not support multiple inheritance, right? Let me remove this. Let me remove the class called D. Let me run again. You see that? I got the output, right? So let me go back to the slide. So it says a subclass can be a superclass for another class. Right now, right? We are seeing the class B has become a superclass for class called C, right? So next, Java does not support the inheritance of multiple superclasses into a single subclass. So that's what we have seen. That is, class B cannot inherit multiple superclasses such as A and D, right? The most important thing we should know, that is, Java does not support multiple inheritance, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe. Thank you.